Are you guys ready to talk about what we got revealed to us at GenCon / what's just coming out, the upcoming news for hobby? I almost said hobby night, but it's not specifically for me. It's for just the hobby in general. The hobby community is really what I should have been saying. So there's actually quite a bit. Well, not really. It was kind of weird. So Chaos Cultist and I were talking about this earlier this morning, and I'm sorry that I've said so many times. I'm very aware that I've said it. I'm using it as a filler word, and I will try to stop. But we were looking at the hobby news this morning. He specifically was looking through a lot of it. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like anything grand and big was announced this year at Gen Con, which I'm not fully surprised by because before we even get into some of the upcoming announcements, which you can see partially, one of the things we're going to be looking at is the roadmap for Star Wars Legion, which I think is one of the juiciest things that we've got on here to talk about, which is why I wanted to start with it. But I just wanted to sort of discuss the very mild decline I feel like the board game industry is in right now. And I do entirely believe that the decline has many factors to it, but one of the major factors that I don't know because I haven't actually looked into too many articles discussing the slow decline of tabletop gaming and board game production, for example, right now. But I do feel like one of the major things that's happening is production costs have gone up. We saw a lot of smaller companies pre-COVID that were willing to work with Kickstarter board game companies, etc., on the cheap to produce a large volume of content that they could then, sell through Kickstarter, etc., etc. And as we've seen Kickstarter decline, and then like the boom sort of burst and the bubble burst on board games and Kickstarter games, I feel like we've seen a lot of those smaller companies that were doing publishing either have disappeared because they got bought up by bigger ones during the COVID thing when everybody needed more production, or they have increased their prices so prohibitively that the companies who were once able to afford to make some of these smaller games that we were seeing sort of explode into Kickstarter and other crowdfunding markets have disappeared because they can no longer actually afford to get their stuff printed, even with those smaller printing companies, because they've upped their prices so much. It's just something that I thought is interesting as we've look at Gen Con's releases or just what they previewed of upcoming things and how there's really not, I feel like, a huge amount of substantial content. Like before, we used to get reveals of full new editions for Wargames or, giant board games that are getting like either remakes because they had been gone for a long time, or it's something giant like Gloomhaven or Kingdom Death Monster and those kinds of things. Like back in the day when we got those sort of reveals. Heck, not Frosthaven, although Frosthaven did get a big Gen Con sort of promotion as well. But oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking on the name of the game right now, but it's the Parabellum war game. Oh my gosh, what is it called? I think it's Frost something. Parabellum. Just completely blanking on it. What do you make? Conquest. Like I remember when Conquest was debuting at Gen Con, and it was super cool, and I just don't feel like I heard about anything like that this year, despite it being one of the largest Gen Cons, if not the most attended Gen Con ever. Like apparently it was huge this year, which makes me a little extra sad that I didn't go, but also makes me a little grateful that I didn't go because I do have crowd anxiety and I don't know if I would have dealt with it very well. Okay, but now that I'm done hashing that out, let's actually talk about some of the cool things that we did get announced / revealed over Gen Con weekend and this past week in general. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is we got a roadmap, which Spiky Bits thankfully has condensed down for us in a nice, lovely article here, because I believe Atomic Mass Games had like an hour plus long discussion on this roadmap that we're going to look through. And frankly, I'm excited for what's coming for Star Wars Legion. And I am excited to at least see, like, it seems like Atomic Mass is putting some effort in here, considering we did have the death, like, officially of both Armada, although I did see some folks at my local game store playing Armada, which was really, really cool to see. So it's not completely dead. It's just not being supported anymore. And also X-Wing. So Armada and Star Wars Armada and Star Wars X-Wing are both unsupported game systems now. I'm very curious, especially with X-Wing. I want to know what the community is going to do with that, if they're going to make it so that that game lives on, because at least when I worked at a game store, I know that X-Wing had like these really big ups and downs, but like the community seemed pretty strong. They just like kind of had ups and downs of where they would end up playing, not so much that they would disappear. And it's very interesting. So I'm very like, but it is like I said, I feel like Atomic Mass is at least putting some extreme effort into their sculpts right now, which is nice because they've cut so many other things. I would want to see effort put into these other game systems is basically what I'm getting at. So let's take a look at some of the things that we're looking at here. We have a whole roadmap which was announced, which we can see here, which basically in October, we're getting Riot Control Squad and a Rebel Sleeper Cell, and we're going to look at all of these various sets as we go on, but I just wanted to take a look at the roadmap first. Then in 2025, we're getting a ton of really cool things. There's a lot of things that I feel like we either thought we would never see because they were either very niche or came from the cartoons. And Star Wars fans are hit or miss sometimes with the cartoons, right? It's just a little bit weird. And so I don't know. I don't always know what product managers and the people at these companies who are making toy decisions and production decisions are going to actually decide to invest in. Whereas I feel like creatives might go, oh yeah, the fans would love to see that, or that would be a really cool troop to have in a war game because, you know, it is Star Wars. It is all about warring. But they don't always think about those kinds of things. So it's cool to see some of these things that I think would actually do really well in war games actually becoming relevant in Legion. So we have some crab droids, which are just super cute looking. Like, oh my gosh, you'll love them when you see them. Some ARF troopers, aqua droids. These are all the ones that you saw when people were fighting, when we had the fights versus the Mon Calamari. So I think that's really cool that they're bringing like these sort of unique designs in, as well as an Outer Rim terrain pack, which I don't remember if I saw that one in detail, but I love terrain packs, and I especially love thematic terrain packs when they're stuff like, you know, specific to Star Wars and those kinds of things. I know, right? Costs are up everywhere and it's really affecting everything, and it has impacted board games pretty significantly. I do genuinely think that's why we're seeing it down. Continuing on, though, with the roadmap, we get a bunch of stormtroopers, rebel troopers, etc. Lots of people, but the one thing that I really thought was cool here is the Padawan Ahsoka Tano and Commander Ahsoka Tano dual pack. I really wasn't sure if we'd ever see Ahsoka in Star Wars Legion. Like, we got her in Shatterpoint. Like, she was one of the, we're starting with her characters. But when Legion came out, I was getting into Star Wars more heavily at that time, and therefore was watching Clone Wars. And Ahsoka was growing on me as I was being introduced to the game of Star Wars Legion. So I had always hoped to see Ahsoka in the game, and she never showed up. Like, there were some other random people, and we even got some of like the Star Wars Rebels characters in Legion before we ever saw Ahsoka, which I just thought was so weird. But now in 2025, we're finally getting her. I'm definitely going to be picking up that pack. I'll probably be painting her. I actually did not paint the Ahsoka that we got for Shatterpoint. So I will definitely, that might be a good painting tutorial actually. Doing both Ahsoka Tano when she's younger, because her, I forget what the crown, like the things she has on her crown, like they're not ears, and it's not really hair, but like her little tendrils, that's the word I was trying to get and missing. I don't know what the tendrils are called off the top of my head right now. I've heard it before, I just don't remember. But like, I know that those are varied, so it would be some freehand opportunities on both models that would end up being different. So it would add some variety. So I wouldn't feel too bad about doing the same character twice. But yeah, I think that could be very, very fun. Let me know what you think in the chat if you would be interested in that. We also get some upgrade cards, of course, for all the factions, which is great. Some Heroes of the Rebellion, which is the image that we started on. We get also a new Vader and General Veers, which is really cool. Clone Trooper Marksman, which look great. Those are snipers. So awesome to have. And Clone Trooper Infantry, just some new boys, some new sculpts. The thing that is going to be the most exciting, though, to me, out of all of this, is in Q4 of 2025, we're getting General Grievous on a wheel bike. And I am so hyped. I am so hyped for this model. General Grievous is so cool. And him on his wheel bike is so badass. I really, really am excited to see that. And we do have a render. We don't. There's not like an official like image or like box art. I don't think yet, but we do, I believe, have a render. And then in 2026, we're getting the Imperial High Command. We're getting a Han Luke on Tatooine, or on a Tauntaun, sorry. I read that as Tatooine because it's very small text and I haven't blown it up or anything. And so I wanted to say Tatooine, and then I was like, no, that's not correct. There's an N, and there's multiple N's in there. And then I started to read it kind of like a Lalafell name, which is just also wrong. And then I realized it's Tauntaun. But we got Han and Luke on a Tauntaun. That's the other big model, and I believe there's a render of that as well as some Imperial probe droids, because who doesn't love to be probed by the Imperium? Everybody does. It's in all of our fictions. There's always an Imperium, and they're always probing us. We clearly are into it. Also, thank you for subscribing, SBOD if 01. Hopefully I said that right. I probably did not. But okay, we've looked at our roadmap. Let's go ahead and actually look at some of these sculpts because they're pretty cool. First up, we have the Imperial Riot Squad, which is one of the early ones that we're getting this year, or sorry, Q4 2024. And I actually think these guys are rad. The actual competent stormtroopers. Isn't that amazing? They have their riot gear. I also like the fact that they have like their droid here, actually two of them, two of the assassin droids. Love it. So this should be a really, really fun set, especially I think for stormtrooper fans. We're also getting, here's just another close-up of them, a little look at their card for those of you that are interested. Here, let me actually, I think if I do this, yeah, okay, I'm going to just blow it up a little bit here. There we go. So you guys can read it a little bit better. So we get a look at the cards, just a little bit of another look at the models, which is looking really sick. Additionally, we have crab droids! I love these things. Lekus, thank you. Thank you, Tim. I couldn't remember. Like, I remember we've talked about it on stream before, but it had been a while, and I don't retain some of that information super well in my head. But I really, really appreciate it. Check out these crab droids. Are they not the best thing you've ever seen? You know how Games Workshop often likes to put critters now into either their Age of Sigmar kits, their Underworlds kits, sometimes even like, honestly, they're putting them into the Necromunda and also, no, it's just Necromunda. Yeah, the Necromunda kits as well. So you know how they like to do that? I feel like this is Star Wars Legion doing that a little bit, but with droid animals, and I just, so good. Oh, don't worry. I misspell things all the time, Tim. Don't even worry about it. But I really like these guys. I had to show them to you. Additionally, so we got the crabs. They're cool. This is going to be your Rebel Sleeper Cell, which I think is very interesting because it reminds me a little bit, like this guy so reminds me of Andor. I feel like he's just labeled as a rebel marksman, legally distinct from, but looks very similar to. The other thing that I just want us all to appreciate is this beautiful cat right here. That's the best. Also, having anytime we get droids, I do really enjoy the droids, whether they're separatist, rebel, doesn't matter. I just think the droids are cool. One day I'll build my own droid. That would be really rad. Here are our ARF troopers, which I just love the name of. Like, they look great. I love their helmets. They're pointy. They kind of give me Eldar/Tau vibes. And I just love that they're called ARF troopers. I don't remember their flamethrowers, I believe. I believe those are their flamethrower troopers, if I'm not mistaken. Which I don't remember what it... Armored, recon... flamethrower? I don't know. What does ARF stand for? Somebody who is a bigger Star Wars nerd than me, tell me what that is. Does it say here? No, it just says ARF troopers. Oh, we accidentally missed our Aqua droids. Oh my gosh, how could we? These are the Aqua droids. These are the ones that they used when they were fighting the Mon Calamari, and I actually think that is a underrated fight sequence. Like, don't get me wrong, in Clone Wars, during that scene, I fully admit that it was not necessarily the most engaging because you were dealing with like the prince, and there was some like awkwardness with Ahsoka, if I recall. But it sounds like the sound a dog makes. Jacob, you're absolutely right. It does absolutely sound like. I mean, I think that's kind of the point, but it's something flame. Like I think flame or flamer or something like that is at the end of the word. With the Aqua Droids, it's a really underrated fight scene, I feel like, because it's kind of sandwiched behind some political stuff that I don't think a lot of people super cared about. But the actual combat in that I thought was really neat. And we also got some really badass scenes. Advanced Recon Force. Okay, that's what it is. So Advanced Recon Force. And then I'm trying to remember what his name is. He's one of the aquatic Jedi. Aquatic Jedi. He's got like Kit Fisto. I don't know why I forgot Kit Fisto's name, but there was a really cool, if I recall, like Kit Fisto had a really cool fight scene also during this against some of these guys, and it was really cool. So I love seeing those dudes being brought in to. It's bringing us down. I see what's happening. When I load back in, it's like, what are you doing? We want to show you all of the things. Okay, so we saw these guys. It was great. Saw our crabs. Also excellent. We saw our Aqua Droids, our ARF troopers, some more Stormtroopers. Like, again, if you are just into Stormtroopers, I feel like these are a nice upgrade. Also, I don't know why, but I really like the commander. I think it's because it reminds me of, yes, you were correct, Jake. You were correct, Jacob. Kit Fisto. It really just reminds me of the Clone Troopers and what they used to do with their colors, and I actually kind of wish the Stormtroopers got to do more of that. I understand why they don't. It's totally, would go against the Imperial, very clean, frankly fascist vibe that Lucas was going for when it came to the Stormtroopers. So I understand why they don't have more color, but I love it. I love it. I wish they got to do it more. It makes me appreciate Sabine that much more. Okay, so those are Stormtroopers. Just a nice basic unit of Stormtroopers. You need 3 Stormtroopers, 1 standing, gripping the heavies, repeater, 2 seated, operating the controls for your custom Empire ATST. That sounds so cool, Tim. That sounds really, really cool. I'd lick your Leku. Okay, you know what? That volatile sky, that is a good way to remember it. Excellent. Oh my goodness. All right, so here's our Rebel Command, which I actually thought was really cool because we got a lot of Twi'leks, which is just really, really neat to see. Honestly, just a really good group. I really enjoy the sculpts that we're seeing come out of Star Wars Legion because they're not so similar to Shatterpoint that I feel like we're just getting a repeat of that same content. They do still feel like Star Wars Legion, like they're still keeping that vibe, but there's just such a better variety, I feel, to what we're getting from the brand right now. Maybe it's just me, but I really do like what we're seeing. Again, speaking of, check out these Scout Troopers. I just really like the poses. I think they did a really good job. I think they look great. Like, really awesome stuff. Here's one of the sets. Now we're gonna get into some of the characters, and I love characters in Star Wars. I love painting them. I love talking about them, and I think these sculpts are really cool. I love the Vader. He's sick. Although it's really like they browned out his saber really deeply. Like it ended up matching the kind of gold of the Legion. And I don't know if that's just a color correction problem or what's going on there, but it's a little strange. I love that you get a General Veers. I don't know if he's been a character in Legion previously, but I assume this is an updated sculpt for him. Obviously, the Vader is, and I think this is like the 4th Vader, at least, or something like that you would be getting for Legion, because there was definitely a starter set that came with one. I believe there was a blister of one. However, that may have just been the exact same sculpt you got in the starter set. And then there's like a Clone Wars version, like a young Vader, I believe. And or they did like a limited run Vader. I can't remember now, but I feel like we've seen so many Vaders. We're getting another one. He's still badass though, so who's really complaining? Check out. I mean, look at the I really appreciate their sculpt. I really like how they actually, I think, capture the look of the leathers and just the costumes in the show, as well as the movies, very well in model form. It just looks great. Additionally, we have some clone trooper infantry, which these are coming, I believe, in 2026. But they look amazing. I really like seeing the unhelmeted guy. That's great. These guys are going to be so fun to paint because unlike stormtroopers, you can play with color a little bit more, and I really just like seeing them. Here's the Ahsoka. So we have renders of her, which looks great. This is Padawan Ahsoka. This is General Ahsoka. I'm extremely excited to get this. This is one of the sets that I really want to paint, probably on camera. I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd also be fun to like beef up these bases because they're not really doing that much for me right now. I'm a little disappointed actually that this is so plain. Maybe because it's just the render, they'll do something else later on, but regardless, it's pretty cool. Here are, okay, so we got to see them. Here are our other clone troopers. The marksman set. Again, all of the snipers, they look sick. Love clone troopers. Love the big heavy boy back here, like with their big guns. Oh, so good. We're not going to sneak peek at Grievous yet. Then we have our Imperial probe droid, which just, I know they're not that exciting, but Imperial probe droids will always hold a special place in my heart because the very first Lego set that I wanted myself and built, like as an adult, was an Imperial probe droid. It was awesome. It was gifted to me. I absolutely loved it, and it was just super fun. So I love these little guys. I will always love them. I will probably get this set down the line at some point. However, we need to talk more about this set that I actually really, really want. More so even than the Vader Veers set, is the Imperial High Command. I think this is so cool because you got Thrawn, obviously, you got Tarkin, and then I always forget the last two gentlemen's names. Hold on, let's go back up to it because it shows. They really want to spoil that Grievous. Okay, so we got Tarkin, Thrawn, of course. Then we've got Orson Kenrick and General Tag. I don't know General Tag as much. I haven't finished Bad Batch, so I don't know if he comes in there and I haven't watched the one series that came out after Rebels, but before Bad Batch. I don't remember what it's called now. But I don't remember. I didn't watch that one, so I don't know if there's a bad guy from there. But like, I love that we got Thrawn and Tarkin. Like, that's just so good. Everybody always needs more Thrawn. I will say, at least based on this render, I feel like the Thrawn in Shatterpoint, and this may be controversial, but I feel like the Thrawn in Shatterpoint is a bit better. Actually, I think I might even like I need a better look at his face, is what I'm trying to get at. Oop. No, I want to look at this. Okay, I need a better look. Like, I need a closer look, like an in-person look at this face, because I've painted a Thrawn. I've painted actually 2 Thrawns. At least painted 1 Thrawn, though. It was the Star Wars Imperial Assault one, and I actually think they did an exceptional job on that particular Thrawn's face sculpt. And I don't know if this is them basing him off of Mads, potentially, or if this is just them basing him more on like a book design, but it doesn't quite look right. Tarkin looks great though. I feel like they got his head like exceptionally well. Do they not already? I thought there was a Bad Batch set for Legion. I thought that just came out like relatively recently. We'll look after this in a second, Tim. Because I swear, I know they have it for Shatterpoint. I need to double check and see if they have it for Legion, because I thought they had. These stormtroopers, fantastic. Rebel Troopers, again, looks really cool. I love all the various aliens. Really, really good. Grievous. Okay, we now need to talk about Grievous because Grievous is so good. He's a great character. Such a good character. We also getting a new Obi-Wan, which is cool to see. I have a painted Obi-Wan, I think, for Legion, so it's a little bit of a bummer. I'll have to redo that, but you know what? It'll be fine. It is a really good sculpt. It actually does capture the actor's likeness quite well. But the thing that we need to talk about, okay, the thing that I'm most excited for is 100% the Grievous on his wrecking bike. Look at this. We don't have a render of it quite yet. I thought we did, but we only have the box art. But I am so excited for whatever this ends up being. It's going to be so cool. It's probably going to be one of the bigger boxes. I assume it's going to be one of the pricier models. But I don't care because, oh my god, like, General Grievous riding his one-wheeled bike. I love it. It's gonna be so good. Additionally, we do have. Let me show you the. Let me scroll back up. Here is going to be, I believe, the art for the Luke and Han on the Tauntauns, which I butchered the name of earlier. So that'll be cool. I'm just. I don't personally care for Han Solo, and so anytime I see something with him in it, I'm just like, eh. I also am not a huge Harrison Ford fan. You guys can fight me on that all you want, but it won't change. Yeah, so that is what we're getting for Star Wars Legion. It's a lot. It's a lot coming out. I really am excited about the Grievous. I'm excited for all of these. The Imperial High Command is going to be great. The Imperial Probe Droids will be awesome. I'm looking forward to all the Clone Troopers. I don't play Imperial when I play Legion. I normally play either Rebels or the Grand Republic, or the Galactic Republic, sorry. But I even the heroes of the rebellion look really good. Like, I'm not even like, these aren't my favorite characters. Like, none of these people are in my top like even 10 of favorite characters. Maybe Leia, but like none of the other ones are gonna be up there. But it's really cool that they're here, and I really like that they have new sculpts, and it's nice to see some attention and just time being given to Star Wars Legion when I feel like we've lost so many very good Star Wars games recently. Just, it's a real bummer to see that, but we got some really cool models coming out. So with that, let me go ahead and close all my images. With that taken care of, I want to go ahead and move into a little bit more of the realm of actual board game. Is General Tag the one that Vader force choked in the staff meeting? Got it. Okay. Because like his name sounded familiar to me, but I was completely blanking on who he actually was and where he was from specifically. So thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that. Okay, moving out of Star Wars, we're going to go ahead and jump into something that's still sci-fi, but is a board game, and it's actually one that I have been anticipating for a while, and they had a debut at GenCon, and we're immediately going into an ad, and I'm really excited about it. So you guys all know, if you follow this channel to any length of time, you guys know that I'm a big fan of the World War II game series called Undaunted. I did a video talking about Undaunted Normandy. Here, actually, let me go ahead and come over here. I'll get picture up. Undaunted. Oh, what was the Star Wars? We wanted to, before we move on to Undaunted fully, I'll go into more detail. One, I also want to see Star Wars Legion. Star Wars Legion. We were going to look up Bad Batch. That's what it was. Okay, so Star Wars Legion, Bad Batch. Yes, okay, they do have one. So just to call it out, because I think it was Tim, was it you who asked, who was wanting that? Yes. Okay, so Tim, they have done a Bad Batch operative set for Legion. It includes a cute, adorable, very young Omega, which is great. But God, look how cool they are. God, that's like season 1 Omega. So this is season 1 Bad Batch. So they have done that. I don't think they've done any other ones, but they do have this for you. So if you're interested in that, don't worry. They got you covered. And it is out currently. But going back to Undaunted, which actually I need to I want to look up Undaunted Normandy. Let me just get this good image. There we go. Open image. Tab. There we go. Okay, so you guys have probably seen me talk about this game a lot. Okay, Undaunted. I love Undaunted. They had Undaunted Normandy, then there's Undaunted Africa or North Africa. There's Undaunted Stalingrad, which is the one from the World War II set that I have not picked up and I really want to get. There's also actually there's two. There's two from the game system that I haven't got for the World War II ones because I have Undaunted Normandy, have Undaunted North Africa, and I have the reinforcement set, which basically expands both Normandy and North Africa to allow you to do additional things. But it is like just an expansion set for those two games. Then they did one that is like British. I don't remember what the name of it is specifically, but it involves like the British airspace, I believe. And then there's Stalingrad, which is also really great. But now the creators of Undaunted have diverged. They have moved away from the World War II setting, which does make me a little sad, I will admit, because one of the things that I really loved about Undaunted, and you can really see it in this art, is because all of the card art looked like this, and the board was just like also beautifully watercolor art like, and it's gorgeous. But they've now moved into a much more like crisp, clean sci-fi, a little bit, it's like it's clean but gritty, if you get what I mean. And I'm really actually quite excited to give this a try because while I am a little bit sad about losing the World War II theming, which I actually very much enjoyed, I am really, really fond of both of these designers, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do in a sci-fi setting. Yes, it's the Battle of Britain. Thank you. Thank you, William. That's exactly what it is. Overlord Tweak, I can totally imagine running. Somebody has to have run a like memed up list of Gungans in Star Wars Legion. That's absolutely something that's happened. But this, so at GenCon, I know that they had a booth. They were debuting Callisto, which is the new name of, it's called Undaunted 2020 or 22,000 Callisto. If I can read, that would be great. This is all published by Osprey Games, which they really do. Like, Osprey often focuses very historical, and this is also Osprey diverging a little bit from that, because most of the games that I know that they've made tend to lean a little bit on the historical war game side, or even just like history as a theme, hence why Undaunted was originally published by them in the first place. But now they're doing this cool sci-fi thing, which looks like it's functioning very similarly to the original game. But also, like, looking at this art and this, like, what you're doing in this layout here, it really also gives me vibes of almost Cool Mini or Not a little bit, and those types of games where you're moving across a grid. And I kind of love that. So I am going to be picking this up at some point. I would love to give it a try. I do like when I first saw it, the art concerned me a little bit, but having seen this more, having gone into more detail to see some of the card art, etc., I actually really, really like the designs. And I think it almost gives me a gritty Appleseed vibe with some of the robots. Although I do love the just big drill. Anytime I see big drills, it just reminds me of Gurren Lagann. I can't help it. It just is what I think of. And then I almost get like Robotech / Battletech kind of vibes from it. So I'm actually extremely excited about this. I'm glad that they seemed like they did well at Gen Con, which was really cool. And if you've ever played Undaunted, Normandy, North Africa, any of the other ones, I would definitely say give this a shot. It looks cool. I like supporting these designers, like I said. And honestly, my least, like, it's really weird because I look every time I see this box art, I don't like the box art. There's something about it. I like the bottom half. I don't know what it is up here that like throws me off about the people, but it's so dark. But I really like what I'm seeing down here. I am such a person, and I will just like, you guys can tell me in chat if you agree or disagree with this, or if you shop this way. I do. But like, what I end up doing when I'm shopping is I will go by aesthetics, like first and foremost. I will give a game a try, even if the like description on the back sounds mediocre or just maybe like not as thrilling as it could be. If it's cute looking or it just has a cool aesthetic that I vibe with, I'll still pick it up. And like, I love this art so much. Like, this is cool. I vibe with these colors so much. I have like, I really enjoy, as much as I like working with really super vivid colors, I also enjoy the juxtaposition of very vivid colors juxtaposed against these very muted color tones. It's exactly what they're doing here. So I love it. And it just, I don't know, the core box art though, just such a turn off. Because when they announced this, I was originally like, I don't know if I'm happy that they're getting away from the theming. Like, that's part of what I loved about them. And then I gave it, like, I was like thinking about, like, no, Angela, don't be like that. That's silly. Like, don't. You love these designers, and you like deck builders, and war games combined with deck builders, and that's what this is supposed to be. So just try and give it a try, play it, and have some fun with it. And like, but every time I see the box art, no, I mean, you're not wrong, Max. Like, you're not wrong. It totally sells the game. It really does. But I'm really, really excited to get my hands on this. I'm hoping it'll end up like, I don't know if, I don't remember, does it say in the article when it's coming to stores? Because I know it debuted at Gen Con. I actually don't remember if I saw looking earlier. Did anybody also in chat, for those of you that are watching, did anybody get to go to Gen Con this weekend? Or were you all like me and you didn't get to go? Let's see. It's a big box too, by the way, 85. It is a larger box. It's a little deceiving, I think, in the picture, but it is pretty. Okay, so it's having a retail release in September. So it's not out yet, but it'll be out in September, right, just before the holidays. Hopefully, you know what? Maybe I'll put that on my Christmas list. Pick up Undaunted 20,000. I can't. I don't know why I struggle the 20,000 or the thousands so much when it comes to like saying it aloud. I don't know why, but I do. Moving on. Let's talk about some Warhammer 40K. Because we got a trailer featuring some of my favorite boys, actually, some of my favorite Space Marines. And I have some feelings. And we need to talk about it. Yeah, neither did I, guys. Neither did I. That's okay. That's okay. We can all, that's why we're here. We're here to catch up on things that happened there, some of the stuff that's come out other places as well. Let's watch this trailer featuring Blood Angels. New Sanguinary Priest. He's not bad. Like, oh God, they really are stripping all of them down, though. I know it's part of the vibe for the Primaris to be a little sleeker, a little cleaner, but like, okay, we just like, can we talk about this man? Because Like, okay, he's okay because he at least has a chalice. I'll give him, he's got at least something on one of his knees, which is nice to see. They did give him sculpted shoulders because he's a sanguinary priest. And he's a special boy, so therefore he gets that. And he also has his grenades. That's nice. And he has a tabard, but they free-handed on this, which means that, like, probably most people are not going to do anything with it. Which I suppose is fine, but it is a little, like, I do like when they sculpt that kind of stuff. And he has his, like, vials here, which is okay. So, like, the sanguinary priest is not bad. However, get a full shot of our captain. Okay. This is our captain. Our Blood Angel's captain. I just want you to let that sink in. Does he look like a captain to you? To me, he doesn't look like a captain. Like, don't be wrong. I love this wing. It's great that he has his iron halo. That's not very, like, I don't know. I just don't feel like that's super unique or special. It does not. It's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum he should have over his head. Okay? The belt has some details on it. He's got a single lackluster blood drop here. A generic, like, I wish there was more going on the knees. I wish he had, like, is that sculpted? I can't tell. Hold on, we need to look at the arm a bit more. Are both shoulders for the captain sculpted at least? They're not going to show me that side. It kind of looks like there's sculpts there. I just there's something about it. Maybe it's the proportions. Maybe it's because they're taller. Oh my god, you're right, William. They are the same head sculpt. It is like I understand that they all get transformed and are meant to look like Sanguinius. Like that they drink the blood, they go through their, like, enhancement ceremony, and they come out beautiful and blonde and, like, looking sculpted like Sanguinius. But, like, they just feel, okay, hold on. I want to look up like an old Blood Angel captain and compare. Blood Angel captain from the 90s. Immediately. Okay, this is a ridiculous, because it's from Rogue Trader. So this is gonna be squat. It's gonna look silly. There is something so charming to this, and I'm gonna bring that over. But I also want to just find, like, wow, you guys are so lazy. I'm also just realizing, like, how incredibly lazy GW is. This is a repeat. This is an insanely repeat sculpt of a far. Okay. Okie dokie. Hold on. I found a great image of an old image on Reddit. Somebody's asking some questions about, like, what they should, like, about some of the things in it, but I want us to look at these because I feel like it continues to prove a point that I was talking about with the design Bible. Is this going to open? Go over here. There we go. Okay. So first of all, here is our adorable, kind of squat Space Marine Blood Angels captain, okay? Additionally, I've got one more for us, but I want to look at this one first. Okay, so here's our little guy. Obviously, not as much detail as some models we've seen modernly because he's from Rogue Trader. Okay? But can we just appreciate the halo? We've got the 2 shoulders still. We have some additional detail here. He's got nipples. I'm really sad that the Blood Angels have all lost their nipples. Like every single Blood Angel that has come out new has all lost their nipples. None of their armor has nipples anymore, and it is a gosh darn shame. And I am not being, like, I'm joking to a certain extent because I'm talking about nipples, and who funny because the faux pas nipples, we can't talk about it. But seriously, it bothers me that they're all losing their nipples. Because that used to be a literal aesthetic that would kind of call out a Blood Angel a little bit, is that they would have a lot of their armor, especially when they were, encrusted in gold. Like the Sanguinary Priests, they had nipples. Where are his toesies also? They don't have toesies anymore. And I don't know, there's just something to this. There's a charm to this that I feel like the new ones are lacking, even though this is derpy and misproportioned. Additionally, though, okay, like let's look, I just want to look at this one real quick. So this is also an older but more modern Blood Angel sculpt. It has the Blood Angel details, has Blood Angel details here. This is so much better than this, in my personal opinion, because just look how much more is going on. Like, part of what I think bothers me is they really seem to have shrunk the padding, which is weird because it still feels kind of large here, but I feel like it's just strange. The shape of the armor has really changed. And I know it's because they're in Primaris armor. I get that. But like, because they are slowly taking a certain level of detail away from these models, the bleakness and sleekness, I guess, of the Primaris armor, and it's just too clean. I just keep getting like World of Warcraft / StarCraft more than I ever have before, which is ridiculous to me because Games Workshop was partnered with WoW or with Blizzard in the beginning on StarCraft, and then that license fell through. Hence why we have the separation, but there's like there's literally a connection there already. And I feel like we're just getting more Blizzard as we go on, even though that was like a failed past thing. And I know Blizzard got huge, but like, do we have to? Do we have to do this? Like, this is just such a more interesting model. Also, basically the same pose, less energy. How is, like, that is what I mean when I say that, like, the design Bible and some of, like, the vibe we were getting from the old product is missing, because it's also in how they're posing them, the energy the sculpts actually have. This has so much less, it feels so much more static than this. I mean, granted, it's partially the sculpt of the face, because these are so similar and they both are not like expressing anything other than like a little bit of concern. Like, it really just feels like either they're constipated a little bit, like they're holding in a fart, or they're just mildly concerned. Whereas he's angry, which I feel like is appropriate, especially for like a Blood Angel captain. It just, I don't know, like, it just bothers me so much that we're seeing this happen. Even though these aren't like, and I want to reiterate, I am not opposed to Games Workshop's designers and sculptors trying new things, changing up the look of the models. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is such a energy and like, really, that's the best way to put it. There is an energy and an aesthetic that is being lost and replaced by an aesthetic that I associate not with this product, and therefore feels very jarring and like, I don't know. It's not that I want them to look dirty though. Like combat, yeah, you can do combat damage with paint jobs, sure. And it's not even combat damage that I'm really like concerned with. It's just that they don't have some of the detail that I want or some of the expression and energy that I was once expecting of these models. Like the fact, like as soon as I think it was Tim or somebody else in chat pointed out that both of their faces are nearly identical. Like, yeah, they've got slightly different hair because they use a different, brush for it, and they added the little I forget what those things are called, but the implants into the one guy's forehead. But in regards to like, they have the exact same expression, and it's so boring. Okay, moving on. Sorry for complaining about the Blood Angels. It's just they're one of my favorite factions, and that's I think partially why I'm so upset. Now, we do have some more Blood Angels to talk about. We have one other sculpt to look at, and I actually haven't seen this one yet, so this is going to be a surprise for both of us. Let's take a look at one more model, see if maybe this one will do more justice. Okay. The Dreadnoughts are fine. The Death Company are okay, at least. Okay, these guys actually have expressions. That's great. I actually love his face. The Dreadnought's fine. Lamartus looks a hell of a lot better than the Inquisitor. Astaroth the Grim, you know what? Okay, hold on. We need, okay. This is better. Although, I think I had seen some people talking about this on Twitter, and I don't think I had realized exactly. And now it makes more sense. I don't think I realized where Lamartus was showing up in, and it's this box set. This is fine. This is how you maintain your proper aesthetic and stick to your design Bible while still using Primaris sculpts. I will concede that I think in this instance, I think they did a fine job with their design. However, you guys have been seeing the ball gag joke, right, on Twitter? Because this is what it's from. And yeah, it is. He's got a ball gag in his mouth, which is funny because he comes from ball. So let's just get that out there. Thinking. Otherwise it's great. JM83. I'm a Black Templar army, good starting army, and I'm about the news. What question did you ask? I didn't see any question for. Look for Commander Dante. Oh, I should look for the old Commander Dante. That's a great comparison, actually. You're right, Tim. Yeah, so like Lamartus is fine, but the ball gag is a little weird. This is my favorite though. I actually think they did a great thing with Astropath the Grim, because I love that he still has his exposed muscle armor. That's great. Also, whenever they do the multi-skull pattern on the shoulders, more of that, please, Games Workshop. You wanna simplify and reduce down the the detail on the actual Space Marine armor itself, like the Primaris armor, fine. But give me more of the shoulder pad. That'll help make up for it. I'll forgive you a little bit more for that. This one I think looks fine. Astrograph the Grim looks great. I think Lamartus is fine, other than his ball gag is a little bit weird. But you know what? We shouldn't kink shame. That's what he's into. That's great. Maybe he likes to drool a lot. That's all I can say. But yeah, I think this is okay. I think they did a better job here. The Dreadnought is all on the paint job, really. A lot of this detail doesn't feel at all specific. Like, I'm going to go to a close-up of the... Okay, so we're looking at a close-up, right? This is all painted on. That's all painted on. So that's not anything in the sculptor or whatever. None of this is unique to the Blood Angels, except for, I guess, that one little teardrop there, which I guess is unique. But everything else, this is a decal. That's the X is just painted on. That's a decal. And this is what I mean, like even the Dreadnought like is unfortunately getting a little like stripped down. It would be cool because you're trying to do like a Death Company Dreadnought. You're gonna call it out as a unique Dreadnought as opposed to just like a Venerable or something like that. Then actually go the extra mile and give a slight raised decal here, like you do on some of the Space Marines. Surely that is not uncommon, and you can put sigils, like do more sigils on there. Like you have decals here, make it more obviously Blood Angel, because especially when you're selling it in a Blood Angel set. Like this one little element is very like this should have been maybe with the Blood Teardrop potentially, like you know what I mean? I just don't know what the idea with some of them going the mile and actually giving us a proper Primaris but upgraded like model and then not doing it with others. And again, I don't mind if you're going to have a bunch of generic boys be a little bit more simplified, especially because in this instance, because they're Blood Angels, they actually gave them vampire fangs when they have open mouths. That's cool. I like that. That is a complementary detail that I think helps actually make the models feel unique to the Blood Angel army without going insane with Blood Angel decorum. And I think that's where like maybe Games Workshop's designers or like the executives are afraid to go too heavy with like identifying the models as unique to those armies. But I feel like if you're gonna do a set like this, like literally a set, here let's say, does it show us the box set? Okay, no, it just gives us this sort of so they're selling this as a box set. This is an upcoming box set. It's coming with the codex for the Blood Angels. Like I think a fancy cover version of it. And if you're gonna sell it as a unique Blood Angels box set, then go overboard on the models that you actually are only putting in this. Like, because you're not going to see this little blood drop skull guy elsewhere, I don't think. Maybe they'll sell the Death Company Dreadnought as a separate kit, but then it's only going to be got by Blood Angels players, in which case most of them are probably going to buy this because of the value. Therefore, just put the extra oomph into the Dreadnought here. You guys tell that I'm just sad that Games Workshop is disappointing me so much. It's just so sad. I'm very upset by it. And I know a lot of other people are. I know some people like the new models. And I just want to say to those people that do like the new models, power to you. I'm glad you enjoy them. They're just not for me, and on top of inconsistent rules updates and a seeming lack of just cohesion amongst their rules development, seemingly, on top of a decline in me enjoying the aesthetic that Games Workshop spent years and years and years selling me, slowly being removed by that company from their own product line, makes me very sad. it's not what I want. And I really had high hopes for 10th edition. That's the upsetting thing, is I really did. But let me know. If you were a Blood Angel player, how are you feeling about this? I have not heard great things about how the Death Company have fared when it comes to. So I am curious to see how many people are going to actually pick this sucker up. Because I don't know if I don't know if these two guys are enough to really draw people to want to grab this set. But I probably am wrong, because that's known to happen many a time. And I just hope that I just hope GW figures their stuff out. I really do. All right. Now, something I want to talk about that's going to be happening this Saturday, to let you all know, we have an upcoming live preview show from Games Workshop covering, I believe, actually, the Slaughter of Helen Crown preview. We've got a preview, and is this just covering Age of Sigmar? Yes. Okay, so this is covering Age of Sigmar, which seems really cool. Like, I haven't actually picked up the new box set. I want to because I really like the Skaven, but I feel like it's going to be around for a little while. I've seen it in my local game stores, available still. I don't think it's been selling as well as Games Workshop thought it would, which I'm not super personally surprised by because, frankly, we all like to talk about the Skaven, and some of us deeply love the little rat men, but I don't feel like that many people actually want to play the Skaven. Like, normally, the Skaven are beloved more as like a little cute mascot rather than a competitive army that I think a lot of people want to get their hands on and actually play. So I really don't know if I'm surprised that it's not selling super well, but I also don't know how people are currently feeling about the new edition of Age of Sigmar. And I don't know if people have been grokking with that as much as they were previous editions. I've heard sort of mixed things, which very, I don't know, it makes me nervous for Games Workshop as a whole because it is a brand, like they do produce a brand, multiple brands that I genuinely severely enjoy as a product line. Like, I like Warhammer 40K, I like the lore, I like what they've set up for it. I just don't necessarily like what they've been doing with it modernly in their game system. I like Old World. I think the stories there were interesting. I'm a big fan of Total War. I adore Blood Bowl. It is a great game, very, very volatile, but super easy to jump into, and I think very approachable for the hobby, so it'll always have a high spot in my heart. So I don't want to see them go away. I don't want to see Blood Bowl disappear. But I am kind of worried with like how they're handling their current product lines. Let's go ahead and watch this because I want to see exactly what this is going to be about.
This year's Warhammer Age of Sigmar global battle has raged on. The fighting has been brutal, and it's almost time to see who has emerged victorious in this vital city. Join me, Lewis, on Saturday the 10th of August, where we'll be revealing whether the noble Stormcast Eternals and the Forces of Order save the city, or if it falls to ruin, crushed under a wave of Warpstone-addled Skaven. Remember, we'll also be showcasing the upcoming miniatures for the winning faction too. You have until midnight on Monday the 5th of August to submit the results of your games and have your say on the fate of Hellcrown. So if you haven't done so already, scan the QR code on the leaflet inside your Warhammer Age of Sigmar Skaven Tide box to take part. Whatever happens, it's going to be a great show, and no matter which side you're on, you won't want to miss it.
Nice. So I'm actually curious, any of you that got Skaven Tide, did you do that? Did you actually participate in this to actually put in your results to sway the battle either way? My expectation, not gonna lie, is that the Stormcast Eternal are going to win this. It's the 4 Stormcast Eternal box. Well, haven't they put Stormcast Eternal in like every single starter set that they've done for the game system? Much in the same way that Games Workshop really likes to hammer you with like Space Marines in almost every single starter set as well. Although I guess it's probably a little worse if that's true for Age of Sigmar fans, especially if you aren't a fan of the Stormcast Eternal, because like in the lore, and please, if you are an Age of Sigmar fan or if you specifically play Stormcast Eternal, correct me if I'm wrong, but unlike Space Marines, there's not like different chapters of the Stormcast Eternal, right? They're more like one giant group, like one giant army, rather than the individualized chapters that all compose of like multiple armies. Is that more how they work? Because I could see that, you know, I never had thought about that, but I could really see that being a bit annoying for Age of Sigmar fans who really do not like the Stormcast Eternal Because it's not even like you're getting to see, like, because with 40K, it just occurred to me, you sometimes see Blood Angels specifically, or Dark Angels specifically, or oftentimes Ultramarines, yes, but like there have been box sets, like starter sets, that have come with non-Ultramarine Space Marines, even though they're called Storm Hosts, so they do have chapters. But are they promoted in the same way? And and by this I mean by Games Workshop, not like canonically in the lore. But like, does Games Workshop go? Because I have never noticed this, and so but I have also not potentially paid that much attention. I have never heard them call out, "Oh, this Stormcast Eternal set that's coming in this box set is really unique to these storm hosts, like this group of storm hosts." Whereas they definitely have done that in starter sets for 40K. Like, you get what I'm saying? Hi, Ivan. Welcome. Oh, you got the USC Millennium Falcon. Excellent. Excellent. That is a big build. Congratulations on getting that done. Yeah, Ryan, let me know about the Stormcast Storm hosts, because I don't know if I like have heard them explicitly call it out in the same way. And if they don't, I could see how that could be frustrating for, like I said, Age of Sigmar fans who maybe aren't big fans of the Stormcast Eternal as a whole, because it might feel even more repetitive. Like, from an outside perspective, not having known about the individual Storm hosts as groups, I genuinely thought it was just always a Stormcast Eternal with like maybe some varying units, but like as a collective whole, they were just Stormcast Eternal. This edition was the first time they used different storm hosts other than the Hammers of Sigmar. Ah, okay. So it almost would you say it's unfair to say that it almost feels retconned then? Like, they're like, not necessarily that they're retconning that storm hosts existed, but that they're important as like individual groups rather than being a collective just Stormcast Eternal whole. Does that make sense? Because to me, it's kind of the feeling I'm getting from it. Like, that's like, from my perspective, it just feels like Games Workshop went, okay, we've really focused on this one storm host. Maybe we should like maybe they introduced storm hosts in the beginning, only focused on the one, kind of like they did Ultramarines, but then like decided to focus on some other ones, but made the mistake of not making those super like known. Interesting. They fleshed them out a few editions ago. It's such a Games Workshop. I would love a book to be written about the thought process, the decision-making process that sometimes happens with GW when it comes to these very large, complex game systems that also have a ton of outside lore and media being produced about them that is extremely relevant to the fans and players of said game. But I sometimes feel like the company producing it does not always synergize them or remembers to like connect them or promote them properly. And I feel like with the idea of the storm hosts, this is a failure point that I can describe in that way. Because I bet in the books it's much more relevant. But I do not feel like in their marketing it's like ever been made relevant to me that they have individual storm hosts. Maybe I'm just not invested enough in them and so I'm missing it, but like I feel like if you want to get people in, especially if you're going to have variety like that, like, so do they have different color schemes? Is that what's going on? Do they have different armors? They have different decals? They used to focus more on the chambers, which was the equivalent to of a company. Each chamber was formed around so they deviated. Okay. So it's not exactly a retcon, but it is definitely them deviating to fit probably what they were doing game system wise, I imagine. Yeah, I thought it was one army too. Like I had no idea that there were different, like I think I had heard them use the word storm host before, but I think I thought that was like a specific model type rather than like that being the name of their company specifically. So yeah, I feel like that is a missing thing that Games Workshop should explain as a general knowledge thing to get people in, because it does immediately make me go, oh, so you guys have actually set yourselves up for more variety and uniqueness to this army than I feel like you have previously ever given me the example of, which has kind of been a turnoff to wanting to get into them, outside of the fact that I didn't like their OG designs as much. I really do like the more modern ones. They've gotten more dark, which is just very funny to me. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to potentially watching this with you guys. I'll make an announcement if we end up doing this live stream watch along. I do want to see what the new miniatures are. So for that alone, we might end up doing this. And that is going to be happening on Saturday, August 10th, Saturday, August 10th at, let's see, it's a morning stream for me. All right, well, we'll probably be beginning at 8:30 a.m. if the stream ends up happening, which it probably will because I want to see what the miniatures are, and I love doing these watch-alongs with you. So hope you guys are looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun. I'll have further announcements when we get closer to the live stream. But I hope you guys are up for that. One other thing that I want to talk about, and this I think is going to be a little bit of a doozy, because I'm sure people are going to have some opinions. But we have some upcoming Magic the Gathering sets to talk about. Some specifically for Secret Lair, which I know is a little bit of a contentious subject because I personally have mixed feelings about Secret Lairs, especially how they're doing them modernly. So when I originally heard about Secret Lairs, I had a mild misunderstanding of actually how they functioned. I thought you had a limited window, which was still true. There is some truth to what I thought was happening, but my understanding of it was way different. So the way that Secret Lairs used to work is that there would be a specific window in which the cards would be made available and they would be print to order. So if you ordered them, you were guaranteed to get those cards. Modernly, Wizards of the Coast, in their infinite wisdom and greed, have decided to make it where they print only a certain number of the Secret Lair sets. And now you get to wait in a potentially hour-long queue to be told, oh, oops, this is sold out. Because they've only printed so many of them. A lot of people get in. I think scalpers get in, etc. You end up then seeing them on the secondhand markets for like extraordinary prices. It's the same problem we see happen with a lot of the limited edition Games Workshop products. So it's a real bummer to see this occur. And I don't like the new system at all, especially when they end up having really cool Secret Lair sets that I would genuinely be getting, but absolutely do not want to sit in a queue or have to wait and fight for trying to get these cards, because they have a new Dungeons & Dragons Secret Lair set, and it's featuring all of my favorite characters from Baldur's Gate 3. We have Harlak, of course, who looks stunning. Astarion in his classic "Come hither, I would like to bite your neck, and I've made a big old mess because I'm a sloppy eater." Can we just appreciate how much of a sloppy eater he is? And I want this card. I want this. Get it. You don't like the designs of the Stormcast? The only AOS faction would have been kind of interested in was the Idenith Deacon. That's not the deep one fish people. They don't like the water elves. You know what? That's fair. I mean, the problem is like they didn't want to tread too much into the Eldritch Horror, I'm assuming, which is why they didn't go more fish people and they went more elves. I can kind of respect. Like, I think Cthulhu-like monsters and elements in board games especially is a little overdone. Like, as much as I love horror in my board games, I will admit that not it's not needed everywhere. I don't need eldritch stuff everywhere. And I feel like this is like Games Workshop actively going, we could be lazy and just go and do keep one fish people and go Cthulhu-esque with this. But that doesn't really fit our lore, and instead we're going to bring in another elf faction because sea elves is kind of an interesting concept. I don't know. I like the sea elf concept, so maybe it's just me. But I personally did not like the Stormcast Eternal initially, but their newer sculpts I really like. But we're gonna talk about Magic now again because I love these cards. So we've got a beautiful Karlach, a beautiful Astarion. They are great. I really, really, really want sets. We haven't. I don't think. Have we seen the other one? I don't know. I want to know what this one is. See if I can find a pre. Karlach again. Have our thirsty Astarion. Really want to know what the exhibition of the adventure. Like, is it one of their adventure cards? Is it like a full art land? Death in the Eye of the Beholder 1, Death in the Eyes of the... I mean, those I assume are going to be creature cards with beholders on them. That makes a lot of sense. They're going to look badass, I bet. But I really want it, like, an exhibition of an adventure. Maybe it's going to be maybe it's going to be an artifact card. And it'll be like a spread of weapons. Kind of like O'Connell in The Mummy when he rolls out the whole thing that he has, like I don't know what that bag is called, but the thing that he rolled out that was just filled with guns and machetes and stuff. Like, maybe it'll be that. I'm very, very intrigued. But like, I really think these cards could be very cool. I'm bummed with how they're doing Secret Layers now. But I don't think it's friendly to the consumer. I don't know why they changed it beyond greed. Like, legitimately, there is no reason to me for them to have changed it to being a limited print run style production from the print on demand, because there is no way Wizards of the Coast does not have in-house printers. There's no way. There's just absolutely no way they do not have in-house printers. Fantasy Flight Games had in-house printers that they would use to print their on-print demand stuff. There's no way that WotC does not have a room filled with printers. They couldn't just print these things on. I don't get it. Ryan asks, have I seen the Magic the Gathering Comedy Friday nights? I have not. Is this like a YouTube channel specifically? By Loading Ready Run? No, I have not. I'll have to look that up because that sounds really fun. I have been watching some Magic content because Magic has sort of my life a little bit recently. I went to my first like Bloomborough pre-release. It's actually my first pre-release ever that I've participated in. I've been there at a store many times while they've been going on, but as an employee and therefore not participating in the event myself. But this time I actually, because I don't work at the stores anymore and I do this for a living, I actually went to my first pre-release and it was super fun. I got my ass kicked. I will admit I was like up and down emotionally because I was enjoying connecting with the MTG. Everybody was super nice, but I was so getting my ass handed to me, and I had terrible pulls in my pre-release, and like it's so silly. And I lost a lot. So I was really feeling butthurt about like my ability to build a deck. But at the same time, I was having a great time because I was playing the game out with my partner. It was so much fun. Like, and it was actually ended up being a really big event for as casual as the store sold it was going to be. It still ended up being like very casual. No one was being hyper competitive in any way and being like a dick, but there was like 30 people there, and I don't think the store anticipated that many people up, and it was really kind of funny to watch. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. Havman, you've asked, did I understand you right? You paid to get the special edition cards, and now you might not because they decided to only make limited amounts. That really sucks. So I did not pay. I have not paid anything for these cards yet. But what they are doing now is previously the way that you would get these sets of cards, which are only 5 cards, by the way, and often not usable in like standard or even limited or unlimited, I don't believe. I think they're only maybe usable in Commander, but a lot of people just buy them as collector things. The way that it used to work is they would only print these cards if somebody bought them. It's called print on demand. You see it often done with books. Books are very commonly print on demand nowadays. The only time they print the book is if somebody has purchased the book. So the way that Wizards of the Coast used to do this is if you purchased the product, they would print that product and guarantee you get that product. Now, what they're doing is they're going to go, we are going to, oh yes, yeah, that people paid. So yeah, now what they're doing with products, so just to further just clarify the explanation, now what they're doing is they're going, okay, we're only going to make, and this is a out of my butt number, so it's not the actual amount Wizards of the Coast is making of this product, but I'm just pulling a number out of my butt to like give you a number, right? They're going, we're gonna make 10,000 of this set, and only 10,000 of this set. We're gonna put it up on the market. We're gonna tell our back end system, we've only got 10,000 of this, so don't sell more than 10,000 of this. And then they go. And often it's within 24 hours. So if you are a teenager and you're really into Magic, really want to get this set because it's something you really like D&D, or Hammer 40K because you wanted to get the orcs, for example, but you're at school when they go live and they sell out in 20 minutes, but you're not out of school in 20 minutes. You have to wait the 4 hours till you get out of school, get back home to log in, to probably sit in a queue because a lot of people also haven't realized that they've sold out, to then be told that they've sold out. I just think that it's really a greedy and I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. It's not consumer friendly. That is the politest way that I can put it. It's a very unconsumer friendly way to make a product, to sell a product that I have never agreed with. Like, I don't like the system. I don't like the limited, and I get limited print runs in certain instances, but you're Wizards of the Coast. You understand how in demand your product's going to be. I feel like you can make better estimations on the numbers that would actually be realistic, that would allow the product to not immediately sell out within the first 24 hours and therefore be available for people who were at work or at school or doing whatever else that they wanted to and unable to get to a computer to spend, a whole $39 to $29.99 on these cards for them to then end up on the secondary market at astronomical prices because scalpers got a bunch of them. It's just, you didn't get a single Three Trees City across the booster box, pre-release, and bundle box that you bought. Volatile Sky, I'm so sorry. You got 3 Maples though. I've only opened 1 booster box of Bloomborough, which we will be having a video on the main channel, on this channel, at some point in the near future, where Chaos Cultist and I have drafted from the booster box that we opened up, and we will be versusing each other. We've both built our decks, so they're ready to go. We just need to film it. We're gonna have a Ooh, excuse me. Sorry, it's been a busy day. We're going to have a battle against each other as if we drafted. Well, we literally drafted from the collector's booster. So it's not going to be a very balanced draft. I think we are both. Well, I'm actually okay. I lucked out. I actually got a fair number of 1-drops, but he did not. He did not get a lot of commons. So he has a very late game deck based on what he drafted, and I really am excited to actually film this video and get it out to you guys. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it, especially if you've been enjoying the Magic content that we've been doing. But that's the only box I've opened so far, but I did not get a 3-tree city in that. I didn't get the Bear Ursa, which I was hoping to get. I didn't get any anime alternate art of anybody, which was a little disappointing. However, I did end up pulling, oh, what is her name? It is, I think it's, okay, hold on. I need to look up, I'm going to look it up here. MTG Burrow valuable cards, because I know it was a valuable card. Okay, let's go to images. Because I remember seeing it as I was scrolling. Like, I didn't get any of these, which makes me really sad. But I did get... It's not this version of the card, but this is the... Oh. There. Looking for the... Well, first of all, I got this as my card in my promo pack. I did get the infamous Cruel Claw, which was pretty cool. So it's the one with the 2024 label on it. But the card that I got, let's see. I'm going to show you the anime art version just so that I can show you the name of the character. This page. Oh my gosh, I lost it. There it is. So I got Chatterfang, but not this version. Let's see actually if we can find the Chatterfang that I got. I don't remember how much it was worth, but I think that was one of the better cards that I pulled. This one. But I got, it's a, man, it's really gone down. I think it was like 75 earlier. This isn't the version of it. Chatterfang. I did get Chatterfang Squirrel General. Wouldn't it have been cool to have gotten that one? I guess maybe. Wow, it's really gone down even when I looked at it earlier. Yeah, no, it's just, this is the one I got. $25 one. So nothing great in my pulls, unfortunately. I do have one more booster box of collectors Bloomburrow packs coming. I'm hoping maybe I'll get some of the really cool stuff. Like, oh my god, if I got... So what I really actually want is this. I want the Liliana anime version because she's so cool. I think that would be amazing. I really want the bear because this is done by the original Charizard and Fat Pikachu Pokemon artist. So I really want the Lumara, or the Lumra, sorry, the Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. I just think that would be so cool to own. And then the Jace anime full art is so cool. Oh my gosh. Oh, the furry in me is so happy. I love this card. I think this card looks so badass. I did get a Jace. You know what? Actually, I did get a Jace. What is this one called again? Jace the Mind Sculptor, Bloomborough. Find the one that I got. I got this one, but in, I believe, foil. Yeah, I thought this one was pretty cool. Not bad, but I really want the Animu one. I don't even play blue. I'm not a blue player. I think it'd be very, very fun. But yeah, I think. You know what I realized, actually? I was talking with Chaos Cultist, and he was telling me that the next Magic set, which I don't forget what the Duskmourn. That's what it is. So when Duskmourn comes out, that's not till late September, I think. Not October, late September. So we actually have some breathing room to enjoy Bloomborough, because oh my gosh, when they okay, when they released Assassin's Creed, it was like a week later they released Bloomborough. I feel like Wizards of the Coast, this is just my take on it. This is controversial. I'm sure maybe other people will agree with me, but I genuinely feel like Wizards of the Coast made a deal with Bungie, was like, sure, we'll do this Assassin's Creed thing. It'll be great. Maybe they were really hyped about it at the beginning, but then the person who originally made that deal has gone. And then they decided to do some weird things with the Assassin's Creed release, like those weird like half booster packs that were worthless as a product, and no one really wanted, or was like everybody critiqued as being completely valuable, players and collectors both. And it was just run over then by a very popular release with Bro. Like, so I don't know. I feel like Wizards made this deal, then regretted it, made some specific thing. Like, I don't understand why Assassin's Creed did not just have commander decks like they did for Warhammer. I just don't get it. Oh, Magic cards fluctuate like crazy. And actually, it's been a really big problem for go into Magic just for the investments, because they have been fluctuating insanely. So, they have been for a while now because of pandemic. A lot of people had a lot of spare cash because of government subsidies and all that stuff, and blew it on collectibles. And one of those collectibles that boomed real hard during the pandemic was card collecting, both on the sports card side as well as like Pokemon, Magic, One Piece, various other cards. Digimon was really big for a while. They were all extremely popular. And the reason that ended up happening is because, well, one, there is inherently a secondhand market value products because they are collectibles and people want to own all of them, want to collect the really expensive ones, do it for the art, will buy cards specifically for their decks because they're chasing a meta and need whatever valuable cards being very high priced. There's a lot that goes into the secondhand value of a card, and so yes, they fluctuate all of the time. Some of them can be pretty stable. Like sometimes you'll see certain cards come out, be valuable, and only ever go up in value because the company that decides to not incessantly it, and so there's actually a limited number of them out there, and so they will always retain value if they're not like edition type things. But a lot of them over time will decline and they will fall fast right after release. We've seen that a lot. I mean, a lot with these Bloomborough cards. Obviously, some of them are examples. Some of them are very valuable. You know, near mint, $230 for a Liliana of the Dark Realms as a squirrel. So great. Yeah, some of those cards are great. But like Chatterfang, when I first looked at it, was like $81. Like this card was 81. It's now 25. It's dropped, and that was like literally yesterday. I think I looked at that yesterday because that's when I've done one practice round with the Chaos Cultist with our decks just to see like, are they even viable? Do I need to completely work this? Because I don't have a lot of confidence when it comes to deck building yet. Like, I understand the cards, I understand how to use them, but I feel much more confident using a recon deck, like a pre-constructed deck, rather than trying to build my own. And or yeah, 2 million for the one ring, but like that's a one-off. Like that is the One Ring is such a weird card because that is so unique. Like Wizards intentionally printed one of that card. They can never do this a gimmick again. Like they blew their load with this gimmick. This one card that now Post Malone owns. But like that was such a weird card. Exactly, Volatile Sky. It is why the leaks are such a big deal for speculators, because it does really change. Like what ends up basically happening, from my understanding, from like a mildly outside perspective, because I don't chase the meta for Magic, and I'm not so competitive that I am looking to like build the best possible decks to go to a tournament with. So I'm not going into a pre with that mindset. I'm going into it more of, do I like the card art in the particular set, and do the mechanics seem fun? It's kind of why I fell in love with Blue Burrow, frankly, because I think mechanics are really fun, and I love the art. It's just like, I mean, like we can look at just even this oh, here, hold on. Let's Bloom Burrow art. Like we can just look at this spew of art and it's all gorgeous. Like it's all really, really nice stuff. I absolutely love it. And so that really sells me on a set. I don't go in specifically for the chasing a meta or something like that. But a lot of people do. And it is wild to see like prices go up as people are speculating because they've seen a few cards here and there, or maybe they've gotten a leak of a lot more cards, and so they've started to see the cards themselves, what they actually say they do, and we can all imagine what that might feel like in a deck. But then what happens is the cards will have a spike just before the set goes out because everybody's speculating. And then once the set releases, you will immediately start seeing all of the prices, both for the products themselves as well as the individual cards, tank. And it is really it's such an interesting thing to watch happen. And I don't know ultimately if it is a truly consumer friendly thing to have happen or not. Like on one hand, it's nice to see that a lot of these cards that might be very good in play do come down and become affordable so that people can actually purchase them and run them in their decks, especially if they are good products or like good cards. You know, you want to see good cards be affordable so that anybody can have them. Mad Quest 8 Star Wars Unlimited is the future. You know, I actually haven't tried Star Wars Unlimited. I need to look into that. I keep seeing it in my local stores, but I haven't picked it up or like dug more into it. Do you like it? Have you played it before? Knowing the printing process, they never directly stated the rest of the sheet was destroyed. Uncut sheets hold 132 cards prior to cutting, so in theory, you could get 131 other One Ring cards. You know what? That's true. That would be amazing. Could you imagine if secretly they actually did print 131 of the exact same One Ring card, and like they're just holding on to them and they'll slowly do this gimmick like over and over again until all 131 of them are out? That would be such a long game plan, but it would be hilarious. They're not going to do that. Um, it'd be really funny if some executive though was just sitting there and going like, ha ha ha, Post Malone has a super valuable card, but I am sitting on a 100 card that's going to make its value. Do Magic the Gathering cards ever have ones with mistakes? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, there will be mistakes on them. A lot of the early cards, like the alpha and beta versions of the cards, will have like printer spots on them. They will be often off-centered. That actually, like, printing errors can sometimes increase or decrease the value of the card depending on what the error is. For example, in Pokemon, there was an entire set that was printed borderless, meaning that around the image that is in the square, like, here, actually, I'll just show you. Borderless cards. Have a shadowless. Okay, so here's an image.
Hey, what's going
All right, so here is an image of the various types of the Pokemon cards, and you can see this is shadowless. So you see how this one has a shadow, and this one doesn't. So there are versions of them, and this was an entire set was printed this way, which was not intentional. It was a mistake. It just ended up being like they were like, well, oh well, and now these cards are worth quite a lot. And then there's of course the first edition one. So oftentimes you'll have a first edition, which I don't know if they do this as much, and I don't know if Magic has ever printed first edition on the cards, but Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon both used to, but they definitely do print error. And sometimes, like I said, they're the more valuable ones, depending on what the error is. There are times though when that does devalue the card. And so for example, like Magic, let's see. Off-center Magic cards. Like, for example, you can see, oh my god, that one's really bad. So here is an example of a really bad cut of a card where the top black border is basically non-existent and it's weighted heavily to the bottom. There's tons of stuff like that will happen all of the time. It's less common modernly because modern printers and the machines that cut the cards down from their, sheets, because they're printed in these big sheets and then they're cut down just as like someone described, Volatile Sky was describing in chat. And they don't really care, like, if it's off-center, and that will decrease the value of a card. Like, this particular Magic card right here that we're looking at, if you had one of these that was more centered and this one, even though it's from an older set, this one would sell for less than the centered one if they were identical cards. And that happens all the time. So that is a thing that you will see. Like, if you ever watch somebody opening old Magic sets or old Pokemon sets, it really doesn't matter which. Really, it's just any old set. They will constantly comment on whether or not their centering is good, especially if they're looking to, like, as a collector and seeing what the value of said card is. It's why it's very important, like, when the Black Lotus is ever pulled, people really want to see, like, that pristine, it's perfectly centered, because there will be some that are, like, off-center than others. Plus, it's still a Black Lotus. That's insanely expensive card. But yes, there are constantly when it comes to Magic cards. It's less common modernly, though. I don't feel like we see them as frequent. Oh, is Unlimited being handled by Fantasy Flight Games? I didn't realize that. That's true. I guess they did purely become a card game company because when Atomic Mass joined Asmodee, they eventually split off a lot of Fantasy Flight Games miniature products to being Atomic Mass games because I think they was cheaper to get that direction. And then Fantasy Flight really started focusing on their LCGs predominantly. I didn't realize they were doing Star Wars one. Okay. They do unfortunately have kind of a bad track record with their games. Oh my god, Netrunner. Just Netrunner. Ugh. I feel like, but this is one of those things where, and we were talking when we were looking at the Legion stuff earlier, like when we were looking at all of this, one of the things that I was talking about was how I really hope X-Wing and Armada, which were Fantasy Flight, I think now Atomic Mass games, but is discontinued at this point. I'm really hoping the community keeps them alive because Netrunner got that treatment from its community. I feel like they're still, like, it's still going fairly strong, but just not being supported by Fantasy Flight games. I really hope to see that when it comes to especially X-Wing. Like Armada, I have less hope for that to happen because I know Armada was just, of the two ship combat systems, the least popular of the two. I really, really hope that both get some extra life because of the community. I hope there's enough people there who still love the game, still want to see events happen with it, still see it happen, etc. And it'd be Happen says that you had a basketball card that sold it for 400 because it started to drop. It was worth 450, but then the price started to drop and you ended up selling it for 400. I completely understand that. And that's probably because the card probably got reprinted. Like often I feel like if you have a really valuable card like that, like something that's over $100 or more dollars, and you ever start to see the price go down, it's because somebody decided that now is the time to reprint that card and saturate the market with more of that person. Oh, was 2.0 ended up feeling like a cash grab for the community? That's so upsetting. I remember when 2.0 came out and like when it first launched, a lot of our like the local X-Wing community that I saw really were optimistic for it. And I felt like they were gelling with it at the beginning, but I don't know what happened as they progressed into deeper content with 2.0. I actually didn't know there was a 2.5. So they did another update and it just failed. Not even a 3 point, like not even a full update. They just like I'm assuming did minor rules adjustments. It's only a 0.5 update. God, that's so disappointing. So, would you say that people are mostly playing 2.0 then, like as the system keeps going because or are people playing with the 1.0? See, that's such a shame because I feel like that makes it a little bit harder to maintain it as it dies then because you have less consensus in the community on which one to play. Like I'm hoping my hope for X-Wing Mad Quest is that community has a general consensus of we liked this version of 2.0 or we liked the end period of 1.0. So we're going to maintain and use those rules, maybe iterate on those rules ourselves to give this game more life, even though we're not getting new like ships specifically for said product. Man, that is such. God, I really hope the X-Wing community does their. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. We talked about a lot of different things. Obviously, we talked about the upcoming giant roadmap that we got to see from Star Wars Legion and Atomic Mass Games. We talked about Callisto, which is a new product from the folks who make Undaunted, which is one of my favorite series. So we've got Undaunted 2200 Callisto. I'm definitely looking forward to when it comes out in September. If you were at GenCon and got to see this, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. I would really appreciate it because like I said, I really, really like games. We also took a look at the Blood Angel sculpts, which I have mixed feelings on. You guys can tell me how you feel about them down below. These ones, I mean, it's nice to see Blood Angels get some love, but I just. I mean, you guys have heard my rant plenty of times. We do have an upcoming preview show where they're going to tell us the results of whether or not the Skaven or the Stormcast Eternal one. I imagine it's going to be Stormcast, but we'll see. Maybe my little rat boys will surprise me and everybody will have jumped on them and just been like, we're going to help the Skaven win. I just don't have high expectations, but we're going to get to see some new minis on this day. So we'll be covering it. I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And then, of course, we talked about, well, I don't have it open anymore. Where did it go? Here it goes. The new Dungeons and Dragons Secret Lair set that is coming for Magic the Gathering, and we discussed all of the secret stuff. So please let me know how you guys felt about this. If you want to see more news videos delivered in this way, I really enjoy doing these kinds of live streams. We get to just sit and chat, sort of hash out our feelings about various things that are happening in our hobby community and world and gaming world. I think it is good to talk about these things, especially in a constructive sort of way, and looking at some of the details of those things that we're discussing. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure to give the video a like and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification or the bell icon for notifications. That's the way. It's been a long day. It's late at night for me. I'm kind of tired, can you tell? But hit that bell for notifications. Never miss when I go live. And if you want to be extra supportive and help support the channel more directly, you can become a YouTube member, which gets you a nice little star next to your name that will slowly color as you continue to be a member. And we're going to start having some member-only streams starting this month. Well, the first one will probably be near the end of the month because I have a couple of other streams planned that are extra. My birthday's coming up. It'll be on the 11th, right after our cool hopefully 40K stream where we find out the Skaven win. So right after that, the day after. My goodness, I'm that much older soon. But it's fine. Everything's fine. No one's paying attention. It's cool. Everything's August is a weird. Anyways, that is the plan. Don't miss when we go live. Hit the bell, subscribe, give a like, leave a comment. You know the jam. You know what you're supposed to do. You're here on YouTube. I don't know why I'm telling you guys all this. Exactly what help the channel out. And I appreciate you guys for it. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, I hope you all have a very lovely hobby night. Bye, guys.